Welcome to an inspiring journey with Shanah, a leader in lifecycle marketing. From Uber to Twitter and now a fractional strategist, Shanah shares her insights on data-driven marketing and the power of embracing AI.
I started my career off at Uber. I very much joined a startup and I very much left a 16,000 person company. And while I was at Uber, I was overseeing a regional lifecycle marketing team, and we were responsible with partnering with the marketing team, the operations team, sometimes the eats team, to help them think through communication strategy. Who are we trying to communicate to? What are we trying to communicate and on what channels? And it was here that I really learned the importance of data-driven marketing. Uber had a very robust and very deep testing culture, and so was taught very early, fortunately, to really take data analysis, data-driven marketing very seriously. I left Uber to go get my MBA. I went to Vanderbilt. From Vanderbilt, I joined Twitter for a while. I was a global project manager there. And then, as any good MBA student does, I left Twitter and I went to consulting, where I was at a boutique consulting firm where I was helping large brands think through their branding strategy. So similar, their messaging, the channels, their ideal customer profile, how are we messaging, getting our message out of the sea of sameness and getting in front of our right ideal customers. Then from there, I went back in-house. I was head of lifecycle marketing at an ed tech company called Empowerly, and since then have pivoted into the fractional world, where I'm so excited to lend my skill set to a wide variety of B2C companies, leading their lifecycle strategy as they enter into this world of consumer engagement as they continue to build their business. In full transparency, the reason I went and decided to get an MBA was because I applied for an internal role at Uber and I didn't get it. And the feedback that I got was that I wasn't analytical enough. And so I never wanted to have that feeling again. And I wanted my toolbox to be as robust and as built out as it possibly could be. So at that time, I was in my early to mid 20s still. And so to me, that's let's go get an MBA. So it was really that moment within my career that I got told no, that I thought, okay, there's some more formal training that I could do to help prevent myself from hitting any type of ceiling. The MBA taught me really how to think about business holistically. So as a marketing leader now, I'm not only thinking about my KPIs, I'm thinking about how it impacts the entire business KPIs, which is likely not a skill set or mindset I would have had open to me had I not been trained in all areas of business. I was forced to take finance classes, accounting classes, analytics classes. Like I had to be exposed to a wide variety of all business elements through the MBA program. Vanderbilt specifically, I went there because they have a whole portion of their MBA that is focused on human and organizational performance, which is the people side of business. So I actually learned also a lot of how to lead teams, how to be a better teammate. And so this formal training, whether it be about the whole business or how to lead, I couldn't have gotten had I not gone through the MBA program. So I think one thing that people underestimate in marketing is how data-driven it should be and can be. And for lifecycle marketing to be the most effective, it needs to be data-driven. You need to understand your customers to build campaigns that resonate with them. And we get there through deep data analytics, deep understanding, customer research, market research. So everything that I do or that I encourage my team to do starts with data analysis, then goes to a hypothesis, then we do a bunch of testing on a variety of cohorts, and then depending on the outcome of the test, go into optimization. So specifically at Uber, I did this several times. And so the equivalent of like going viral at Uber was if one of your campaigns went global. So I had two campaigns go global. One of them was specific for riders, and it was at the time, I could see in our data, there was a portion of our trips from airports that was just kind of like, they were just missing. I was looking at the data and thinking, I think there's some more juice we could squeeze out of this, if you will. So what I put together was basically a whole welcome campaign. So when you land at an airport now and you open your Uber app, it says, "Hi, welcome to Denver International Airport. Here's where to meet your driver," blah, 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 blah. All this very informative information that did not exist before. So I was the individual who came up with this campaign, did a bunch of A/B testing, and it was because I was looking at the data thinking, there's something interesting at airports going on that I think maybe our users don't understand how to use the app or something. So it was through a ton of testing that we ended up with an airport campaign that went global that's actually still live today. And then second to that, year in the rear view was 2016, heaps of driver data that we were sitting on. So at the end of 2016, I worked with the data analytics team, had them help me pull a bunch of driver stats, and I created an engaging campaign that helped drive brand awareness. Drivers were getting this email, seeing the stats of the time spent in the car or the number of riders they met, things like that. And then you could see just the brand engagement, email engagement, the forwards, the tweets at the time. It was a really great opportunity to use this rich data and engage our users. So those were two different times that I went viral, if you will, inside Uber. And it was just because I was taking the time to understand the data. Well, for lifecycle campaigns to be successful, they need to be rooted in data. So either I need to have easy access to pull the data myself, which I can do, but ideally I have a partner who's a marketing analyst or maybe a data analyst internally that can help use the internal tools to pull user data. So it can be a variety of things, but buyer behavior or page visit to your website behavior, you can track behavior in a variety of ways, but being able to access that data. And then that data, not only do I need to be able to assess it, it needs to be implemented into the email platform often too. Because when you're trying to create campaigns within this email tool, you want to be able to segment off of this user data too. So sometimes I see that those two things aren't connected, and then projects get a little bit stalled while the team works to connect them. But ideally, your tools will be talking to each other, and I often have a partner internally that helps me either assess the data or tie the tools together. But lifecycle marketing takes a lot of data, and it takes good, thorough partnership to be accomplished. So should lifecycle emails be creative? It depends on your goal, because sometimes you're just trying to educate. Hey, we have this resource we think you would like. Here's a button to download. Or, hey, you should schedule a sales call or a consultation with our sales team. Here's the link. Sometimes you just need to say, here's the information that you need. Here it is. But then sometimes you're just trying to be fun and bring your brand to life. And then those are the really creative campaigns. The example about the year in the rear view for Uber, where we shared the driver stats, that was an extremely fun email. The purpose of that email was to engage our drivers, to thank our drivers, to say, wow, look at what you've done. And so it was way more fun than transactional. So it really depends on the goal of your email and to the kind of spectrum of creativity that you can lean into. Yeah, so lifecycle marketing I've seen sit in different places. Sometimes in an organization it will sit in product marketing. Most often it will sit in the traditional marketing, but I understand how it does both. Because when you're kind of situated or orged with the traditional marketing team, really what you're doing is taking the leads that your growth team is bringing in and you're moving them through whatever funnel of experience your goal for your business is. So you're building trust, you're building loyalty, you're educating, and I understand how that is all connected, and that is why you would want to sit on the traditional marketing team. Sometimes it's on the product team. And that makes sense in the case where you have a product that needs a lot of explanation, or you have a product that has, there's multiple steps to use it, or it's a lot more maybe educational or transactional than perhaps the traditional marketing team could be. So I think it depends on the business needs as to where the team will sit, but ultimately, I think they think about things in the same way. It is the output that might look different depending on where they're sitting. I think there's a lot of fear around AI and AI taking jobs, especially a part of the life cycle marketing team's output is content creation. And so instead of being fearful of it, I've continued to learn about it and leverage it. And so what it does for me, it speeds up my work. And as a fractional leader, it gives me another tool to brainstorm with and collaborate with. And so it's kind of a teammate for me. So ways that I use AI, there might be elements of data that I'm assessing that I'm trying to figure out, is this really something like, is there something there? And since I don't necessarily have a teammate, I'll ask AI, like, hey, this is the data. Are you seeing this too? Also, of course, copy creation. It is a great starting point. It should never be copy pasted, like only used, but it's a great starting point for those brainstorm, a nugget to take the copy and run with it. I think there is going to continue to be a lot of AI integration into marketing tooling. So the tools and the platforms you're using to send the campaigns, there's a lot already of like campaign summary, campaign results, and things like that, which is so helpful. What it does, it makes me more efficient, speeds up my work. It also helps me check my work, like that double set of eyes that I always need on every deliverable. So for me, I very much look at AI as my teammate, and I cannot wait to see where it continues to go. I do not think it will be a replacement for me. I think it just makes me more efficient and more effective in my job. I'm going fractional because I have a very unique skill set that I want to offer multiple organizations. I really thrive in the building. I really thrive in some cases kind of the cleaning up and the setting the infrastructure to do lifecycle marketing well. And so to go into an organization, be the subject matter expert, get the team kind of up to speed on what good should look like, teach them how to do it, kind of teach the people to fish, and then move on to the next organization. That is where I thrive. I love going in, I love building, and I love how in fractional I can do it for a wide variety of organizations. And so when I start a fractional gig, I set expectations up front of what the first few days or weeks will look like. And so I make it known from the beginning, it is of utmost importance for me to understand your business. And that is one of the first things that you will help me do. So I have a wide variety of things that I ask them to collect. I ask them to walk me through kind of an orientation, walk me through your business goals, walk me through your marketing approach, walk me through even your branding deck, just like I am your student, teach me. I then ask them for access to whatever they may have going on currently for Lifecycle. So please give me access to the tooling, please give me access to relevant data, and then I kind of go and I do an assessment. So I can look at current state based off of the initial learning that I did, business goals, things like that. Then doing my assessment, I can then create a roadmap. Here's where we can go together. Here's how I would prioritize it based off of your data. Are you aligned with this? Then we kind of puzzle piece together what our work will look like, and then we hit the ground running, which helps from the beginning. They've had a say in what we're building. They've had a say in which direction I'm going toward. And so whether they're, a stakeholder that just checks in every now and then, or they're my main point of contact daily, we have kind of that roadmap to continually check in on. That was built together at the very beginning. It depends on the client. And say an ideal client, they kind of have things established. There's not a lot of like data integrity issues or things like that. Let's just say we hit the ground running. For a client that I can really hit the ground running with, I can start creating campaigns, having them launched within the first just couple of weeks. And because of the way Lifecycle works, we get immediate feedback. And so there are metrics and KPIs, open rates, click-through rates, things like that we can see instantaneously. So it may, depending on the product or the life cycle of the sale or whatever we're dealing with, it may take a little bit longer, but we have immediate feedback into our testing. We A/B test everything, and so we can kind of see right away. So I would say within the first couple of weeks, we can kind of directionally see some results, which is fantastic. It gives us feedback where to continue to go. So it's really important for people to look at human open rates. So now there's a lot of bots opening, and a robust email platform should be able to tell you number of human opens and number of bot opens. Bot will always be inflated. I almost ignore it. A good open rate, I would say, is upwards of 45, 50. I would say an average open rate, you're in the 20s. Good open rate, anything above, call it 30, but like really good open rate, I would say is in the 40s. It depends on the product that I'm working with. It depends on, sometimes in some cases, the industry I'm working with. And how you get to a good subject line is through testing. And so A/B testing everything, learning, documenting. And so I don't have a hot take on whether emojis are great or always put the first name or things like that. I don't know, because that's something I would test to see. And then depending on the company itself, you might have wildly different results within similar tests. So it's really important as my engagements wrap up to make sure there is somebody or somebody's to pass the baton to. If there is not yet that in place, it is not my time to go yet, because all of the efforts would kind of cease. And so it's really important for me to have at least one main point of contact that has been thoroughly brought into the work that's been done. They are bought in to continuing to have the efforts live on. They have an understanding of the goals and what we're trying to accomplish. In addition to that one main point of contact, I think it's very important to have relevant stakeholders be brought into the work that has been done and the impact as well. The more that you can have people understanding what has been going on and the impact you've been making, they will be bought in. And then once you depart, they will be bought in, so they don't want it to stop. But you really need to have that main point of contact to kind of take the baton and run with it. Otherwise, all of your great work will just sit in a Google Drive and get dusty, which is, never want that. So you definitely want somebody really strong internally that can take it and move forward. My personal favorite emails are very hyper relevant to me. I have a toddler. She's 1.5, and every month from a company who's trying to sell me toys, they send me a robust newsletter that's like, Ellie, my daughter, is 21 months. Is her milestones. Here's some blogs about what might happen. Here's how to deal with the tantrums. And here's some toys we're trying to sell. But I love it because it's so hyper relevant to me. It is a sales email, but I read it every single month. I haven't bought from it yet, but maybe they're keeping my attention. And that is good lifecycle marketing, because it is that, wow, I didn't even know I needed this. You know me so well. Data approach to engaging your customer that I really appreciate.